Should I have a better link to YouTube? Should I have a better link to YouTube? Should I have a better link to
Hi, everybody.
Hello. New platform for us, for Betsy and I
Yes.
to run it together on our own. So we just, mics are on. Mics work.
Hopefully. Let us know if you can't hear us.
Yes.
They left us alone today, which is not always the greatest idea.
No. But you know what? We're here. We're going to talk about Boucle, one of our favorite fabrics. So I think we can do it.
Yeah. So we do love Boucle. Erin and I always tend to use it in our projects because it comes in incredible colors. It's super easy to work with, and it has just like the most beautiful drape.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Yeah.
You can make it from you can do jackets, you can do tops, coats. We've done it all, at least in those categories.
Yeah, and we've done those 3 categories. So if you don't know what Boucle is, it is a rayon and wool knit mix. Yes. But it's not a knit like you think of a jersey knit or a ponte. It doesn't have the stretch. It doesn't have the recovery. You don't want it for something like that. You don't want to. You don't want to think, oh, it's gonna, stretch and recover. You want to use it for something a little bit looser where you can really appreciate the drape.
Right, exactly. So before we dive into Boucle, what should we talk about? Let's talk about So Confident.
Oh, So Confident.
So Confident
There
is
she is.
our yearly program, our membership program that we, every month we come out with a new project. We're showing new techniques, new and innovative ways to put garments together. And this year we are doing, we're taking things from the vault. Sewing Workshop has been around for a long time. And we want to celebrate that history by using garments, using patterns that were from some of the original Sewing Workshop patterns. So we started off in January with one of the greatest from the originals, and we started off with a Japanesque.
And here she is. So this is a variation upon the Japanesque pattern, which was one of the original Sewing Workshop patterns. And the class is learning how to create this variation. So we've used snap tape. We've incorporated snap tape. We've done these really interesting kind of applique details on the sleeves. We made it out of an interesting knit fabric, whereas normally the Japanesque is like a woven, not all the time, but I think that's what I think about traditionally. Yeah. Right. So we've made these incredible little kind of elevated jackets. This is a little pocket on the back. You can't really tell.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Using the floral knit, it's a cotton knit as a detail and applique on the back. I think that's really fun.
So we also have kits available, and this is one of the kits. We have a variety now of colors. We've got the black color, there's the green, which you probably have seen, and we also put together, 4 or 5 other colors with cream base, blue.
There's a few that we're sold out of. Yes, camel.
Yeah. So you should check out all of the new kits because they really have just been released in the last, I think 2 weeks. So some of you may have not seen them yet.
And we'll start adding links like that since it's just Betsy and I this week. So after we're done with the live, we will shoot some links on there. So we'll put links to the Japanesque kits. We'll add links to a lot of the things that we're talking about today. We do have the link to the sale going there. But if you are curious about links as we start to talk about things today, just note that we'll add those, and that way you have all the information that you need. And of course, there'll be emails that come out about the sale. So just be a little patient, and we'll get those links to you as soon as we can.
Yep.
And speaking of links and comments and things like that, I am going to turn on the comments so we can see what's going on.
Perfect. Let's see. In the meantime, I'm going to move the Japanesque out from behind us. I'm interested to know if anybody has made the original Japanesque or if they're working on the new one. On the So Confident member Facebook page, I've seen a lot, like the projects are starting to come in the photos, and it's really fun to see what everybody's making.
That's always my favorite part, to see, you're scrolling on Facebook and all of a sudden you see, one of the customers, the images pop up of something they're making, whether it's one of your kits or whether it's something from their stash. It's pretty amazing to see what people have hidden away and they pull it out for a new project.
Yeah.
So that's really fun.
So next month for So Confident, we've got a little preview of that class for you. Here she is.
There she is. So this is the bamboo top, which is what we're going to do in February. And the bamboo top is a really interesting garment. It has this beautiful overlay here at the top. It has a welt pocket here. And then in the same fabric, I'm going to pull it back here. It has the second layer into a hip length flowing blouse. It's just fantastic. And probably won't be able to see this very well, but the bamboo has these really interesting pleats that line up with the back sleeve. And then there's a tuck here on the shoulder. I think this is really interesting. You can make it out of a print or you can make it out of a solid where you really would see those details in the back. We've done that as well. But this is one of the kits that we did offer for February.
Yes, this kit is currently sold out, but we might have a couple coming. I'm not going to promise that. We need to see what we get in.
It was popular.
Heritage-wise, it was popular. It went pretty quick. But one thing to remember, if you're not a So Confident member, is that you can join anytime during the year as a monthly or yearly member, or you can buy the class itself just on its own. So you don't have to be a member to take the class.
Right.
So this is coming up next month. We just got a little preview for it, but February is going to be here before we know it. So.
Exactly. So the class will be available soon. We'll put that online once that is ready. But it's the year is starting off really well. It's been really fun so far. So I know that you want to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And so some of you may have gotten some delayed response emails from us because Erin and Alex and I were out last week in New York and we were scouting kit fabric for So Confident. And I can tell you that we have some really great stuff lined up.
Yes. Yeah. I'm really excited. We have some great projects coming up. We have the carnelian coat is coming up, which I think the whole office is excited about the carnelian coat. And the tea garden tee, the metro skirt, which is something I'm really looking forward to. So those will be the things that are happening in the spring. And we're looking for fall fabrics too. So it was a really interesting time to spend and just look through so many beautiful fabrics.
Yeah, 2 days of looking at fabrics is a good way to spend your time. Exactly, anytime.
Well, speaking of beautiful fabric.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get back to the Boucle. So when did you first start using Boucle?
I feel like we've had Boucle around the office for 10 years or so. I mean, you have to think back on, and you'll see all the garments that we're going to show you, but all the garments that we have made out of our patterns using Boucle, and when those patterns would have come out is kind of a way to track how long and how much we've loved Boucle over the years, because we've done the pearl and the opal, you'll see them all, but but we've been using it for a long time and we still love it. So I'd say 10 years is the investment.
Yeah. And it's a fabric that we keep going back to because it sews so beautifully and it holds up really beautifully, as you'll see with some of our older garments, and it's wearable and it's really nice. And it's not something I see at very many fabric stores. Like I don't see Boucle out in the world all that much. So I think it's a real find to have it and have all the colors and have it available to our sewists.
Okay, should we dive into we have so many colors. We have 9 colors. I know some of you have seen Boucle before, but since we get it in stock every year, we wanted to make sure you knew that it was in stock again and that we have 9 colors. So we'll show you all the colors, and then we'll also show you garments that we've made, and then also a few things that you can pair with these garments. So a couple different options today.
Yeah. So let's get going. So down there on the corner, I don't know if you can see it a little bit. Yeah.
So you can really see the drape too. So this is new green, which is one of the favorites around here. And you can see that drape. It's a nice heavy drape, which I think is really important in jackets and in tops to have that heavy, beautiful drape. Very flattering.
But it's not really a heavy fabric. So you get the weight of it, but not like the heft while you're wearing it. Like I kind of consider it a mid-weight. Do you agree with that?
I think so. And that, I think, it opens up the possibilities for what you can make and when you can wear it. So I feel like in certain climates, you could wear it year round, just as an added layer. If you wanted a really light layer, you could make a vest. If you wanted it to be heavier, you could make a lined coat. So there's a lot of options. I'm going to bring it a little closer just for people who aren't familiar. So you can see that fantastic texture. And I think you can see how light it is just from how I hold it, how you see it on the screen. But it is a great fabric. And like Betsy said, it is 60% rayon, 40% wool.
And I know that the question that's going to come up is it itchy? I don't think it's itchy. Like, I don't know that I would wear it on like my bodice straight up, but as a jacket, like it is not a problem for me. And I'm a little bit particular about my wool, so I think it's okay.
I like it. I'm not particularly sensitive to wool myself. I love wool sweaters and I can usually wear them against my skin, but I think that it's very soft. And since we do tend to make it in jackets, you're usually wearing another layer. Even if you are wearing it as a top, you could wear a long sleeve shirt or a short sleeve shirt underneath it, and I think you'd be just fine.
Yeah. So what's our next color here?
Next is teal. I was going to say one of my favorites, but I think there's about 5 favorites up here right now. So, but this is teal.
And you can see that is what I'm wearing. It's the Tremont jacket. Disappear while I stand in front of it. And it's a very kind of a very blue teal as opposed to like something that has a little more green to it. So if you like a pretty blue fabric, this is a really nice one.
Good jewel tone. We have quite a few nice jewel tones up here. Here's another one. More of a magenta.
This is a beauty.
Is this what we call it? Magenta, or do we call it fuchsia?
I think it might be called fuchsia.
Fuchsia. Okay.
And I think it's got such a rich, deep color. You know, it's a little on the raspberry side. It's got the red background to it as opposed to like an orangey or pink. So I think it's a really lovely color.
I'm seeing a question here about whether it can be washed or not. The garments that we make, we don't tend to wash them, with the boucle. I think just like any fabric, you would want to take a 4 by 4 inch square, wash it, and see if you like the results. We do have customers who have washed it. I think you are going to find some shrinkage because those fibers are going to shrink up in the wash a little bit. But I think wash it, see what you think, see if you like the texture, see if you like the hand after it's washed, and go from there. But the garments that we make, we haven't washed.
Right. Would it felt?
I think it would felt just a little
like
bit.
A little bit.
It's not going to felt like 100% wool would. 100% wool jersey. We've made quite a few garments in that as well. We've washed it. It's shrunk considerably to get that, that texture. But it's a similar texture to the boucle that we have, though this is a lot drapier.
Yeah.
And it's not quite as thick as the effect would be with 100% wool jersey. But I think you are going to get a little shrinkage.
Yeah, but I think the rayon's going to really save it from like really felting up.
Really shrinking up.
So, black, of course, beautiful black.
Yeah, this is a nice, rich black too. I think that's beautiful.
And again, when you're using just like a plain like black jersey or something, ponce, you're going to have that slick surface, and so you don't get the richness that the texture of this fabric does. So even though it is a plain, it's a neutral color, it still has visual interest because it has this like slight mottled texture to it.
And I would love the idea of just a classic Chicago coat, maybe in black. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, something long. We've got a beautiful cream.
Vanilla, right? Vanilla.
Yeah.
Beautiful color.
We've used that for a lot of different projects, and it's kind of nice for your spring and autumn. So when you're kind of transitioning from warmer weather to cooler weather, to have like a creamy jacket is lovely. We have a dark gray here, so it's really like a charcoal. It's kind of a blue undertone gray, I think. So it's a pretty cool color. But you can see the difference between it and black, even though it is quite dark. We have grape.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Speaking of another color that I love, another jewel tone. Stunning. Kind of has a pink, more of a pink purple.
Yeah. But it's not it's not too bright. Like it's kind of a muted enough grape color that you don't feel like you're like purple. You can still wear it with a lot of different things.
Oh, cherry red would be next.
Cherry red. Another beauty, and another one that we use quite a bit. I think probably after the green, we use the red most. And I know people are going to ask, so I think of it as a cool red. I feel like it has like a blue-ish tone to it as opposed to going to oranges or yellow. And then finally, we've got your classic navy. It's a little bit, it's not a dark navy, it's a little bit brighter.
I'd say it's more kind of a slate blue is how I would describe it. There's it's a nice kind of gray blue while
and
still
I think
being
like
kind of strong.
if you see it up against my teal, you can really see the difference between the two.
Right. I think this is a stunning color.
So let's show some samples. What have we made out of this?
We're going to start out with one of the most spectacular garments.
Man.
I think this is how you described it in the email.
Yeah.
Like, just one of the best So Confident projects that we have done.
It's a showstopper.
Kathy Davis made this garment. And so this is a combination of different colors of the boucle. And then, of course, we did throw in a textured wool here.
Yeah.
That's also, it gives it a little bit of a different feel.
So this was the Crossroads. It started life as the Crossroads jacket. And then in So Confident series 10, 11, 9?
9.
Okay. Good job. So in So Confident series 9, we took the Crossroads jacket. We did 3 different projects with it. And this is one of the projects where we lengthened it into a coat. So it is, you can't see the bottom, but it is a like ankle length coat. And then on the inside, we lined it with a beautiful lining. And I think we should all note the brilliance of the cream lining under the cream boucle and then the pink piece lining for the rest. So all of the information on making this coat is in the Crossroads compendium, but it is a beautiful example of mixing the boucles.
I love this pattern. So it has a lot of different panels that make up the length of the front. And then, so the buttonholes are created because of the panels into the seam. And then so are the pockets.
So smart.
That's one of my favorite patterns. We've made this we made it where you put all the panels together and made it into a cropped jacket, or you can leave the panels in for a shorter jacket. Obviously, we've lengthened it, and you can do a lot with this pattern. There's a cuff, or you could leave it off. It has an asymmetric collar, typically. When the collar typically comes down to this seam here on one side and then it stands up on the other. So it's just a really fun pattern to play with.
But I think this is a showstopper, both of the garment pattern itself and the fabric. So if you are looking to make a winter coat, I think this is what you need.
And I think if you got, we were talking about this before, probably a yard of each, you could create this look. So if you wanted more specifics, just let us know. But if you got a few of each color, you could go for it. And all of that information is in the compendium tutorial, which is on sale this week. So if you're feeling inspired, you can go to town. So this is a Tremont jacket paired with the Memphis dress. And Betsy, tell us about this technique here.
So this was another So Confident from I don't even know how long ago. So we're not even going to try to figure out the series. But what I did was I took a surface design technique and made this little tuck all along the edge of the Tremont. So you can see that I did a contrasting fabric. I had to piece it on the edge and then use the boucle to tuck it. And the boucle is really great for surface design techniques like that because you can have the raw edge and it's not going to ravel. So if you like to do reverse applique or even just applique, you can really make use of the boucle for that because it's just going to be perfectly fine without having to tuck under the edges or stitch around the edges to make sure that it's not going to ravel. Other than that, the Tremont, I did a little bit on the cuff too. Other than that, the Tremont is the same as it is in the pattern, but I didn't put the button. You can see here that normally it has a button. So we paired it with the Memphis dress because we like to dress easy for winter and layer up, and we like to wear dresses. So we kind of pulled some kind of not talked about dresses out so you guys can see how nicely they work with the jackets.
All right, there's so many things that you could wear with a lot of these jackets because they're different lengths, different silhouettes. But the common thing that I was noticing is that the Memphis dress was perfect. The Cityscapes was perfect. You know, the note toe lengthened into a dress was perfect. So we did bring a few of those garments in with these jackets to let you see what you could do, and a few fabrics as well.
Yeah.
So, but Memphis is one of my favorites. Here we have the Flatiron. The Flatiron pattern is a jacket and a fuller length coat. And this is the jacket version, so a hip length jacket. It's one that you could make raw edge, so it's perfect for the boucle and any other knit that you can have raw edge. So that's the techniques that are in the pattern include all the instructions to do that. So you can leave the center front as a raw edge. You know, you can do all your seams, the side seams, as a raw edge.
And that is makes for an easy sewing project, but also I think it really makes for a really lovely line. I'm gonna try. We're not sure that you're gonna be able to see these very well.
Here's the back.
Maybe the back is the best. So you can kind of see how crisp and lovely that raw edge line is, and it adds like a dimension to your design that maybe you wouldn't get if you just used regular seams. Now, having said that, you can just use regular seams.
You can. And both of those instructions are in the Flatiron and a few other patterns that we have. But we do talk about using the raw edge and doing the overlapping seams. So I guess using raw edge and the technique would be the overlapping seams. Misspoke a little earlier, but so we give you the instructions on what to do within those patterns. But the basic gist of doing overlapping seams is you're cutting away one of the seam allowances and overlapping the other on top. And then you're using 2 rows of stitching to put that in place, to put the seam in place. And then we also use those 2 stitch lines at the hems too. So you can use those or make those raw as well.
And the raw edge construction, it's not something that you can just use with boucle. I mean, you can use it with other knits as well. We do have a tutorial that teaches you a little more in depth than just our pattern instructions. You know, it has photos and everything on how to do the raw edge construction. And it's a nice technique, I think, to have in your tool belt. So maybe if you're working with a knit that doesn't ravel and you want that extra dimension to your garment, you know, you can pull it out. And I think it just adds a little something.
Good. Let's pull out another raw edge garment. So maybe you could see some of the details a little bit more. This is the Helix top, which we've been talking about jackets, you know, over and over again, but you can use the boucle as a top. So I'm going to bring this a little bit closer so you can see. You can see that there is a row of stitching right by that raw edge. And then there is another row of stitching about 1/4 of an inch away from that one. I'm going to jump on here and I'm going to see what some of these comments are just to make sure everybody's doing okay. I do see a few people talking about sound, so I hope everyone's doing okay with that. And let's see. Oh, a tutorial about that green Tremont. Do we have a tutorial?
We do have a tutorial for that, and it is on sale this week.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure everybody's doing okay. I saw multiple sound comments, so I just wanted to sit and check out these comments and make sure everybody's doing okay. So, but it looks like hopefully people are getting that fixed.
Any questions while we're in the mix of? Since you're sitting down,
we're bouncing around. I'm going to sit and see.
Just see if there's anything there.
What size Tremont are you wearing?
I think I'm wearing a medium. So I would probably normally wear a small, but actually I think the medium works. It just depends on what kind of like drape and ease you're looking for.
Did you shorten it?
I did not shorten it. I don't think you can see the bottom of me, but it is about fingertip length.
Someone had a question about the bamboo for the February So Confident, and we don't have the bamboo ready to go yet, but when it is live, we will let everyone know when that pattern is live and when the class is live. Someone received their bamboo kit.
Oh,
Exciting. Someone mentioned, I'm anxious to see the back of the bamboo on a body. We are going to take a few more photos today, actually. Betsy and I are going to do that, so we can post those. I know Alex has posted some pictures of her in her floral, what did we call that?
The Venice.
The Venice print, and she posted that. And then we will continue to show more pictures as we get closer to the launch of the February class. But we're glad you're excited. Quite a few comments today. It's great. And I'm sure this will come up. I'm wearing this the Cityscapes dress today that Samantha Blow made, which is fantastic. I'm glad she left it here.
You adopted it.
I did. She graciously said that that was okay. Thank you guys for being patient as I go through the comments. The reverse side of the fabric, we could show that.
Yeah.
So the reverse, it looks great on either side.
Yeah, I think there is very little difference from one side to the other, which means that when you are cutting out, you might want to mark which side you choose as the right side, just in case there's enough of a difference that you can see when you sew it. But I don't know that there's necessarily a right side. Do you think, Erin?
There's more texture on the right side, which I would consider to be this side. You can kind of see the texture in that versus, and you can even feel it, that there is a little bit of a difference, just a little more flat on the wrong side, which, you know, you might like the side that's a little more, you know, flat, and it depends on what you want against your skin. So
yeah.
Okay. We talked about the Helix just
We
a
did.
bit. We did. You could see some of these seams. This was a really good garment, so you could see the overlapping seams. And this pattern, the Helix is such an interesting pattern because it's the same pattern piece for one side of the garment. So for the right side of the garment, the front goes into the sleeve, wraps around to the back, and it has a raglan seam there. And then the other piece is the same, just in reverse. So it has the back and it wraps around to the front sleeve. It's
a fun construction. It's not something you sew every day. And so it kind of makes it a little adventure. But
yeah, it's a really fun garment to make. And so we did also take advantage of the raw edge on the binding. Traditionally, it has a ready-to-wear binding, but since we could work with the raw edges, you could see there that it's a narrow strip of the boucle, raw edge, and it's sewn to the wrong side of the neckline. And it includes the same double stitching, those 2 rows of stitching, which I think is a really interesting way to do it. Here's another coat that came out last year.
I think it was last year. It was, well, the Mayfair. As 22 last year, not last year.
Oh, that's true, because
it's a new year.
Yeah, 2022 we came out with the Mayfair. We have some similar design techniques here as we do on the Crossroads. So we have the same pocket technique in the Mayfair here, and it's another great kind of knee-length coat. I'm going to put this on.
Yeah.
This is a gorgeous coat, and it's a pattern that we don't really talk about very often, but it has this great double layer shawl collar which I think is a really fun thing that you can accent with different fabrics, like we did here with the pink versus the gray. It has snap closures, full length sleeves.
I love the collar on it. And really, if you didn't want a long jacket, you could cut it off to be a short jacket and it would still be really cute.
Right. It's a knee length or just below the knee. Probably on average height, it's probably below the knee length coat. And so it's a great coat that you can throw on over your heavier sweaters, which is really essential this time of year. So it's a good layering piece, and you could line it if you wanted to line it for extra warmth, or you can just throw it on.
Wear it as is.
Mm-hmm. And this is an Ann's tank underneath it with sleeves. Ann's tank with sleeves.
And thanks. But I like that you can also use 2 colors in it. It's a good kind of canvas for mix and match.
Right, and this one's fairly simple, just using the pink down at the bottom and at the collar. And here's that double collar. It's wrong sides together. And you can really just show off different fabrics. You could have a different fabric for the under collar versus the upper collar. I think that would be really neat too. That's
Beautiful.
a great pattern. Here's another garment where we used those raw edges and did the overlapping seams. This is the pearl. You could wear it with similar things that you're wearing with the Tremont. I think it has a similar feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a little more shaped at the waist and then flares out at the hips.
Now, normally, am I incorrect that the pearl normally has a drawstring up the front?
It does. It does. You can include a drawstring in the center front hem here. We tend to leave it out. I find that most of the samples that we have don't have the drawstring. It's a really fun detail. You can pull on the drawstring and it can create like a ruffled effect, at the center, which is really fun. Or if you just want to leave it out, you can, or you can put it in and have the option.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a really fun detail. But in this case, we just hemmed it instead and stitched it down.
Nice.
So
such a beautiful color.
And the back of the pearl, I think, is really flattering. It has a panel in the back at the waist, which you can really see with that double stitching. I love how the boucle really shows off different seams.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a fun fabric to use if you have a lot of seams, because you can make that the feature.
Yeah, I think that is a great example too of the beautiful drape, because as the bodice drapes down, it really it falls in like a lovely waterfall.
Here's another pattern we don't talk about very often. We're pulling out all the patterns that we
they get overlooked.
Need a little bit more love.
Yeah.
This is the Fuji Mountain top, and the top has 2 options. There's a view A and a view B. This one has the buttons offset, so not quite on the center front, all the way down to the hem, and then there's a pullover option as well. But this has this kind of silhouette and detail has been really popular the past couple of years. I've noticed it has this great center front yoke, asymmetric, with this great collar. And then again, we used, we used raw edges, but not in the same way, which is actually really interesting. We used some traditional seams, some overlapping seams, and one great technique that I'm noticing, I don't know if you can see this, but instead of using a completely raw edge hem, well, it is raw edge, but we used another layer underneath.
To add a little weight.
So like a raw edge facing on the edge of the sleeve, which I think is really interesting. And then we did it on the hem too. So similar to, it's a facing, it's similar to kind of what we did on the Helix in a way. We put it on the wrong side, and it's just a strip of the boucle just to reinforce it, give it a little bit more weight at the bottom of the sleeve and the bottom of the garment.
It's such a nice casual look. Like you could pop that on with jeans or just whatever. I'm hanging out at home, and it's just a nice little garment, I think. Poor Fuji Mountain. We don't talk about you enough.
I know. It's like an elevated sweatshirt. We
It
talk about
is.
things like that all the time, but
It is.
this is a really fun take on it.
Oh.
Well, this is a pattern everyone knows.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This is the Chateau Coat, and we've done it here in the cherry red. And this, I mean, I think this is probably the first time I used overlapping seams was in this pattern, because you use the raw edge for the center front, you use it for the bottom, and then it's such an easy pattern to put together. You got the side seams in the back, and then there's a little yoke, but it takes no time. I mean, it takes some time, but it's a fairly easy pattern, and I think it just looks beautiful. It kind of falls on you when you wear it, and so it's a really great kind of voluminous coat.
So how do you think you decide what is going to be completely raw? Like on some of the garments at the center front, we've just had a traditional closure on the front, and we haven't done the raw edge. On this one, it's just a one layer raw edge. And I was just thinking about that. Like this garment, this pattern is very drapey in the front. It's very loose. You want it to hang free. You want it to be just really drapey on the body. So we chose to make it raw. We chose to not have any additional layer of the boucle here. This is just a single layer. But on here, let's take another pattern that we haven't talked about yet. The Erin jacket. On the Erin jacket, it's a little more structured. It's a shorter jacket. We decided to use the traditional deep hems on the front and on the bottom, whereas on the other ones we've just had one layer, and this one has two. So you can see how you can make the same fabric look so different, just depending on how you structure the jacket, how you finish the hems or don't finish the hems. So you can,
you go from really kind of drapey and beautiful to something much more structured, much more. It's got a more of a visual weight to it, I think.
So it gives the fabric a pretty broad range on what it looks like and how it can be finished. Because I know there could be some people who don't want to have a raw edge. They don't want to have that unfinished look, or they want to have more structure at the bottom or at the front. So I think you really do have that flexibility. And even if you do have, a traditional hem, you don't have to have, that third layer. Sometimes with hems, you're gonna, since this can be raw, you don't have to even finish that. So you can still have just two layers for your hems, and keep that
and
part
I think,
easy.
did I see a mitered corner in this hem?
Yes.
I mean, it's a wool fabric. It's a medium weight, but it still is like tactile enough that you can do a really clean and beautiful mitered corner. I don't know if you can see it. There you go.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's interesting how it's both drapey but can be crisp when you need it to be.
Right. Exactly. So. So we've got one more here. The opal.
The opal. So the opal is the pearl. We saw the pearl earlier. That's her sister in the garment pattern. So you get the pearl and the opal cardigans. And this one is really interesting. We've got more of a peplum down here at the bottom, and it's got a little tuck. So it almost has a little more shaping in it than maybe some of our boxier garments. And then you can see on the back, can you see on the back? Maybe.
Bring it closer.
Yeah, let's bring it a little closer. That the seams have more of that curve to it. So for some of you ask, for patterns that aren't quite as boxy, this is a really great one because it's got a little more shape to it.
Like princess seams in the back there. I think the interesting thing about the front is this is all one piece, but it has this tuck here in the front. So it creates that shape without an added, piece that you're adding. So
yeah, it's a very kind of geometric pattern because you're tucking and folding and making the shape come out of it. And it's got a 3-button front closure. And just a really nice drape along that front line, I think.
And the raw edge technique tutorial that we have does go through with this pattern. So this is a great pattern to use, but you can use that with any of the patterns that we've talked about. It's a good tutorial that shows you how to do the overlapping seams, but it does follow the opal.
Yeah.
What else do we have? So we talked about how we wanted to show different garments that would go with all the jackets that we have here. And we kept coming back to dresses. And so this is the Memphis dress underneath, long sleeve knit dress.
Yeah, I'll take that off.
That has all these great panels. It's great for something very drapey. You want the fabric to be nice and drapey here. It's got this drape, the side drape here, which drapes down beautifully on the body, a lower panel, same lower panel, and kind of divided back and front. That's really flattering, and it looks great with the opal.
It does. And the Memphis is really nice, as is the Cityscapes, in that it's pretty well fitted, like throughout the shoulders before it kind of drapes and gets a little bit looser down, perhaps where we need it to be a little bit looser. But it's very flattering that way, because you've got like a nice clean shoulder, and then it just kind of drapes down, and it looks really lovely on a lot of people. As you may have noticed, I'm much shorter than Erin, but
always apparent when we do the live.
Always apparent. We stood up and I was like, I didn't wear heels today, and you can really tell. But I can wear the Memphis dress without any problem, even though it is a really long dress. So you can shorten it. You can leave off the bottom band, but honestly, I just kind of wear it as is.
Where does it hit on you if it's the complete pattern?
I think it's a little bit over. Gosh, I'm trying to think. It's been a while. Like kind of right under my calf.
Okay.
So maybe 4 inches above my ankle.
Okay. It's almost full length at this, because one side is longer than the other, so it is asymmetric at the hem, or overall the whole garment's asymmetric.
Well, yeah.
But okay, because it's about mid calf on me. So,
yeah, that would make sense.
So, and we have also made the Memphis as a tunic, so you can shorten it and leave off the bottom panel, or shorten it throughout the body in specific places, and you can make it into a tunic.
A tunic, yeah.
For me, if you take off the bottom panel, it's a tunic. So
right, that's the easy way. Instead of trying to take it out of all the body, just take it out.
Right.
I am actually wearing the Berwick Street tunic under my Tremont, and it's actually a really nice kind of under jacket, and I'm wearing it as a tunic just with leggings, so practically a dress. But it's a nice little under jacket outfit.
I think all these garments, like you said, since they are fitted up through the shoulders and through the bust, and kind of have clean lines, they are easy to fit. They're that base layer. I feel like in every winter I'm always looking for the best base layer, because you have all these beautiful sweaters or jackets and coats, and you're layering, and you need something really simple yet flattering as your base layer, whether it's a t-shirt or a dress or thicker pants.
And with something that's a little more fitted in the shoulders and sleeves, then you're not trying to shove a bunch of fabric in different sleeves. So you have to start kind of fitted and then work out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That was what we were trying to accomplish in New York in the blistering,
so cold, you guys.
Cold.
At one point, I had like 6 tops on. Just like every top that I had taken, I just put on.
Right, exactly. Fleece lined everything.
Fleece lined everything. We've got another dress that we haven't talked about.
We do.
Put this over here.
So I put the no-toe dress underneath the Era. So the no-toe tee is the pattern that we have. And then in one of our So Confidence, also would have been series 9, we did a no-toe compendium where we took the no-toe and made it in different ways. And one of the ways was a dress. So this is a straight dress. So you just took the no-toe straight down to lengthen it. And it, again, is a good base layer, because it's nice and fitted. It is a short sleeve. but nice and fitted in through the bust and in through the shoulders, and then goes straight down.
And in the tutorial, we did a really interesting raw edge detail down the front, which is going to be hard to see in this fabric, but it adds a really pretty line just right down the front. Is it in the back? And it's in the back. But, yeah.
Right. This is a great piece, even this time of year. Put it with some really warm tights, some boots, and I think it's a good option.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And even short sleeves, I think sometimes this time of year, like we said, base layers, sometimes they need to be a short sleeve because you're going to wear a wool sweater on top and a jacket on top.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always have to be a long sleeve.
You have to be prepared for all weather eventualities.
Right.
Is it hot?
Right.
Is it cold? Got to be ready. So we did pick out some fabric for these dresses that we've been talking about. And we will start, where's the first one? Over here. So we love to use French terry. And
this is French terry that I have on in the cityscapes.
It is a jersey knit. So if you're not known to French terry, it's got a smooth jersey side and then a very light loopy side on the back.
Which is very soft to the skin.
Yeah, so not only is it super soft to the skin, it's a little bit heavier than your regular jersey. So in the chillier months, you might like the extra heft. But it still has the really lovely drape of just a classic jersey knit. So you're not getting like too heavy, too stable. You're still going to get that beautiful drape in your dress. So that is, I assume, olive. What do we call it? Yes, olive.
I thought this looked really nice with, let's see if you can see this, with the green. It looks great with the green, but I think you could pair it with the black. You could pair it with the vanilla. You could even pair it with the gray, or what about even?
I would do it with the pink.
Would you do it with the pink?
I love olive and fuchsia. That's my color combo.
And I think you could even come over here with it. A lot of these kind of accent fabrics for the dresses, I thought you could pair with a lot of the different colors. And the next one is a print. So I'm going to bring out that dress one more time. So we talked earlier about this Memphis dress in the print knit. Has a brushed feeling to it. So like a brushed knit. And this plaid floral has a similar feel to it. Nice drape, kind of more of a medium weight. So it has some, a nice warmth, nice heft for, this time of year for the winter. And so it holds its shape really well, but it's also nice and weighty drape to make the Memphis really flattering. So I think this print would be perfect for that.
Very cute.
And it goes with the teal and it goes with the fuchsia and of course the black, cream, and gray.
It's a good mix,
I think.
Let's see.
Even that blue navy on the other side. And then the other one we pulled out, I did pull out a black French terry because everyone needs a classic black dress.
Can't go wrong with that.
You can't. And then I did pull out a ponte because the no-toe that we showed was a lighter weight ponte, which I think is really flattering, especially for that straight dress, because then it just glides so easily over the body that way. Stable, has that heavy drape, and I just think it looks really sophisticated.
Yeah, very designer when you've got like that clean surface of the ponte. And then we've got one more hidden over here. It is a beautiful red French terry.
Oh, I love this. This is
a good color for you.
Rouge.
You should be wearing all that color.
I need another cityscapes.
Yeah, Samantha, get on it.
That would be great. I
Yeah.
have to do that. So, but this looked great with the cherry red, but I think you could also do it with the purple. We call that what, grape?
Black, cream. Yeah.
All the colors.
Yeah.
All right.
So now you've hopefully got a little bit of inspiration. If you haven't worked with Boucle before, maybe you'll give it a shot. We recommend you do because it's just a really lovely fabric. And if you need other combinations, you can always ask us. We love to put things together. So,
And there are a few tools that I think are really useful when you're working with boucle and the overlapping seams. You need a really good sharp pair of scissors. So we do recommend these Perfect Scissors by Karen K. Buckley. These are great. On those overlapping seams, when you are cutting off one of the seam allowances to then overlap, you want a really good clean edge. And so you get that by using a rotary cutter. When you're chalking up the seam line, Chalkener is a great tool in every sewing room. It's a nice fine line of chalk, so you can be really precise. So I think that that's really useful. And then in order to put to keep the seams in place while you're sewing, we do recommend using like a no-sew basting tape or a sewing and craft tape. We sell both of these. And this is just a great way to be really accurate when you are doing the overlapping seams. You don't have to mess with any pins. And it just makes for a nice clean stitch when you're doing your seams.
You definitely want one of those. It's kind of just a third hand, so you're not pinning and shifting. It's just, it's there, it's stable. You can make it work.
Right. So just like our Fuji web, we have used Fuji web on boucle, but I feel like the tape works a little bit better than the Fuji web.
Yeah.
But it works in this, it doesn't work in a similar way, but I think it's a tool in your sewing room that you should have just like the Fuji web, because it's just so much easier to keep your seams in place while you stitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So, but it's just a tape. So what else?
I think we've covered it.
Should we check out some more questions?
Yeah, should we have any questions?
Okay.
We'll come
Let's
close.
Have a seat and we're going to check it out. Get in there.
I'm going to sit on my knees so that we're like the same height. There we go.
How does that feel?
Better. Let's see. Is the seam you're talking about the same as a flat felled seam?
No. So the finished look may be similar, but the technique itself is different.
The raw edge seam on the Helix top, is that the same as the Chateau Coat?
I believe so. Yes. So they both use the overlapping seam technique. So this is the Helix. You can see, oops, wrong side. Can you see that? So you can see the overlapping seam technique is used there with the 2 rows of stitching. So that's on the Helix. And then the same technique is done on the Chateau. Yes.
How did you do the embellishment on your shirt?
So Samantha made this dress, and so we actually did a Facebook Live on this in the fall, I believe it was, and she used, I don't know if you can bring that up. This is very awkward, but here you go. She used a woven and patches in certain places on this dress in the same color, so it's black on black, and then she came through with a heavier weight of thread and did some hand stitching. And so she nailed it in place, like it's in place with stitching, just your traditional black thread. But then to add the embellishment, she used the cream.
She mistakenly felted a piece of wool fabric. Could that be used with the boucle?
Oh, I think so. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
We've done a garment, I think it was the West End jacket, that combined the boucle with another type of wool. And that was a really fun combination because they were similar colors, but they and similar textures, but not quite. And so it's a really fun jacket. So, and I love combining different fabrics, especially when you can see different textures. I love that. It reminds me of when we saw the Prada coat. We went to the Met, and there was so many different textures. It was unbelievable, and it just reminded me that to have fun with it, combine all the textures, combine the prints, and it's just have fun with it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Will there be some solid knits for the bamboo coming too? We have done a project with the bamboo that is in a solid sweater knit, and I believe that it's been shown to some of the So Confident members, and so that's something that will debut later in February.
Yep.
So keep an eye out.
Are there colors darker in real life? It is always hard to judge color by video. It is hard for me to tell you because I don't know what you're seeing.
From where we're looking on the screen right now, the colors look pretty accurate. Granted, I do know that sometimes when you bring things closer to the screen, it shifts. So it does change it a bit. And same with how your computer is calibrated. So that does make a difference. But we do try to make them as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, we answered that.
Mm-hmm. Can the Helix be made in a woven?
Have we ever done that?
I don't
believe
so.
we have.
I don't think so.
We've made it in a knit. I think the overall design and the comfort of for the Helix, I think it needs to be a knit.
Mm-hmm. Fabric care.
So I think we touched on this briefly about washing.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't recommend it, but we do know people who have, or we haven't, or we don't. But again, take that 4x4 piece of fabric, wash it, and see if you like the results. And if you do, go for it.
Go for it.
Otherwise, we tend to dry clean these garments. So that's our decision, but to see what you think.
Someone asked about the patterns that can be made with raw edges for boucle. So the patterns that we talked about today are all in the sale category, which you can get to either by the link that is under our faces right now, or on the homepage there is a image that says sale, and if you click on that, it will take you to those patterns and the tutorials.
We can list them right now if we want to do that.
Sure.
We did talk about the pearl jacket. And it's a printed pattern. It's actually the pearl and opal. The Tremont jacket, which is what Betsy is wearing right now. That one is printed and digital. And the Mayfair Coat, that one is digital. Fuji Mountain is also digital. Helix is a printed pattern. And I hesitate when I say that because so we have the Helix top and pant. And that is a printed pattern. We do have the Helix pants, which is also digital. So
yeah, don't
throw you for a loop on that.
Don't just
one.
get the pants.
And then we have the Flatiron and the Chateau, which are printed and digital. And then we have the Crossroads coat and the Erin jacket, which are digital.
Yep.
And we do have, in case you don't know, we do have a service now where you can print the digital patterns. So if you purchase one of the digital patterns, there is an option, a drop-down menu, where you can choose to have us print it for you, and then we'll ship it out to you. So that's a pretty exciting option for digital patterns now.
Yeah, I like it. I use it all the time.
I know. Well, it's great to just print it off and cut it out and
be ready to go.
Ready to go, yeah. Okay.
Someone was excited to see the Fuji. It's nice.
It's a fun one. I made that out of a double-sided knit, and you could see the two different colors.
Oh, that's nice.
That's one of my favorite garments. Erin jacket, yes, it's a current digital pattern.
Let's see. Do you have tips for turning the no-toe tee in a dress? We have a tutorial, which is probably better than just some tips.
Exactly.
If you search the no-toe, there is a thing called the no-toe compendium, and that actually has 3 tutorials for changing around the no-toe, including like step-by-step instructions for making the dress.
And it does say, how do you widen the lower half? So that dress is taken from, it goes straight down from the bottom of the tee, but you could adjust that if you would want to. I've thought about that because I think it would be nice to have a little bit more, if you needed more room in the hips or you prefer a more A-line, you could make that adjustment and create a more A-line shape if you don't want it to be straight.
Of course. we've done a lot of these questions. Looks like it.
Long sleeve mason top with floral. Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Sounds good.
Always email us those pictures.
Yeah, please
Post
do.
them. We love to see that.
Do the basting tapes stay within the seam? And if so, do they add bulk?
Right. So you do put the basting tape in the seam allowance because then you cover it up with your other, you're going to put it, so the seam that you don't cut away, you're going to put it in that seam allowance. And then the piece that you do of the seam allowance that you do cut away, you put that on top. So you're covering it up and keeping it in place. We don't find that it adds any bulk. Some people, since it is a tape, some people take it out after they've done that first row of stitching. I don't. I keep it in. I don't notice it afterwards, but I do know, I think Kathy takes it out. I don't believe Linda does. I haven't noticed any issues with keeping it there.
Could you use the crafting tape on faux leather seams?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I think
so.
that's a great option because you wouldn't want to use the Fuji web because you wouldn't want to use your iron. So it's a great option for leather or for leather, full leather, vegan leather.
Vegan leather.
Whatever fancy term you want to put to it.
Could you use the boucle for reverse applique, like the New Mexico jacket? I don't know what the New Mexico jacket is, but you...
Maybe something with the Santa Fe trip.
Oh, Santa Fe trip.
So maybe a fractured jacket.
Oh, I see.
I think so. I think it'd be great because if you wanted to cut away, then you have those great raw edges that you don't have to worry about.
Yep.
I know a lot of the garments that we've been showing have the fraying of the raw edge, but this would be a nice clean edge, kind of like what you see with the Alabama Shannon projects that we talk about sometimes. And I think that would be really fun, especially if you're not a fan of the fringe.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be really pretty for applique. I think that's it. Oh, somebody's shoveling snow. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ours has turned into slush.
Yeah. Ours is finally melting. Yeah. It's beautiful here.
So, okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Again, the patterns that we listed are on sale this week. We also have, of course, the 9 colors of boucle is 15% off. And then the raw edge tutorial that we've talked about with the overlapping seams. It's a great tutorial to keep in your back pocket to pull out whenever when you have your 5 colors of boucle and you're ready for your next project. It's a good one to follow along with to do that. And then series 9 Crossroads Compendium is also on sale, so you can make that beautiful Crossroads coat.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So you guys better get sewing. You've got a lot to work on.
I know. Perfect time of year. Stay inside.
Yeah.
Avoid the snow and ice.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Stop shoveling and go inside and start sewing.
Exactly. No, thank you. All right. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week.
Yep.